Good morning. It's Johnny Sunshine. So, I want to continue with the video that I started yesterday about when I started my business and who I was working for and how things went. I took off pretty fast. I had 3 trucks on the road within a year, brand new trucks, and we were just kicking ass, and I was making money. And I know I'm going to show you this spreadsheet estimating program that I created myself, and it worked for me. I know even now, when I look through it, I can see things that I could have done differently, but the fact of the matter is, you can only get what the market will bear. A lot of times, service plumbers, they want to get their feet wet in new construction, and they'll estimate a job, and they'll come in, they'll be like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 high on what other companies are doing these jobs for, because they just don't understand the impact of volume. The fact that if you're doing 200 or 250 houses or 500 houses a year, that money starts to fucking really snowball and get big and big and big. So this was based on working for national builders who were giving me 3, 4, 5 starts a week, and I could depend on that. It was, my guys were working, there was no downtime. We were going to the same place every day, and we just march around this fucking neighborhood building houses. And so I want to show you what I would do when it was time to estimate a job. I built this desk here. It's fucking 8 feet wide and 4 feet deep. It was a sheet of melamine, and I made this desk myself. I threaded all the fucking pipe and put flanges on the bottom, doubled everything up. And this was where I did my estimating. I could lay the plan out. I had my computer on the side here, and I'd draw the system in. I'd highlight all the footers before. That was the first thing I did, was highlight the bearing walls and footers so that I wasn't, running pipes parallel in the middle of a footer. That's how I did it, and it prevented fuck-ups, like getting a call from the concrete guy, hey man, you ran your fucking pipe right down the middle of a footer. So I'd draw the system in, and it was pretty basic, man. I'd start at rough in. I'm going to try to zoom in here, guys. I don't know if you guys can see that, but so on the top, and this is hilarious now that I look at these prices. So at the very top, I'd stop the first item on my list. Now this was the particular material. This was how many units I needed. This was how much each unit cost me, and then this was the total for that particular product. So I'd start out with rebar, string, glue, primer, CPVC glue, duct tape, tub boxes, large and small, a shower wrap, Armorflex. I put up to 1 inch on this because I was just a residential plumber, man. Test caps from 1.5 up to 4 inch, pipe. 1 inch PVC, 1.5, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. And you can see these were very tight bids. Like, I knew I was only going to use 5 feet of fucking 4 inch PVC. It was basically for the closet risers. And then I'd count up, how much CPVC. And a lot of these bids were just because I knew how much I needed for these jobs. And early on, this is when I think this was in like 2000, 6, maybe. But prior to this, I was doing houses all in copper. We were looping shit out, and obviously I changed all of that. So to show that we were using CPVC. So I had my 1/2-inch CPVC lengths, 20-foot lengths. How many of them? I needed like 6 to do this house. Can you imagine? I was only paying $4.50 for a 20-foot length of CPVC. $27 fucking dollars, man, for 6 lengths of CPVC. 15 lengths of 3/4, $7, and these were padded. These numbers were a little more than I actually paid, but not by much. You know, I kind of rounded. You can see these are all round numbers, and then I counted up, you know, on average, what it took me to do for CPVC fittings on a 2-bath house, a 3-bath house, or a 4-bath house. And this was a 2-bath house. I put $125, which was very, very high. There was no way I was spending $125 on CPVC fittings. So, come down here, you go through your CPVC, then I had my hard copper, 1/2-inch and 3/4, 1-inch hard copper, CPVC fittings, spray paint, markers, and I used all of this stuff. I sprayed out all my ditches, I put my lines up, I'd spray my ditches, we dig them with a tractor, and literally this house, man, we could do this house in like 4 hours. We'd plumb this house and be down the fucking road, you know, moving to the next one. PVC fittings, I did the same thing on this, man. Every house is different, but, you know, $200 worth of PVC fittings in the underground was good enough. I mean, that, and for the whole house, tub set and everything. So I put $200 in for PVC fittings on that. Then I go to roof flashings. 1.5 inch, 2-inch, and 3-inch. We had 4 vents coming through the roof on this particular house. I was paying $7.75. A roof flashing came up to $31. Silk hose bib kits. We had 4 hose bibs on this house. $4 a hose bib kit. Silcocks, ice maker box, washer box, tub waste with tea. Nail-on stud guards. We used to be able to use them. You know, they were 6-inch by like 1.5 inches, and you'd use them on a vertical part of a stud. And then when this was done, you could still use 3x6 or 3x18-inch stud guards, screw-on type. And literally, I was only paying 50 cents a fucking stud guard. Now they're probably, I don't even know. I can't even imagine how much they are. So we needed cement, 80-pound bag. I put 1 in. That's just for, you know, vermin proofing any tubs or whatever. Second floor shower drain. We didn't need one. We needed a glue-on shower strainer, for the recessed shower. Didn't need any liner material, inside corners, glue. We needed 2 closet flanges. You can see they cost me $1.75, man. Screws, nails, strap iron, Mickey Mouse straps, 1/2 inch flat straps, 3/4 Mickey Mouse straps, 3/4 flat straps, 1 inch, 1/2 inch copper 2-hole straps. We used to use them. We would back up our drop-aired L's on the shower with a 1/2 inch copper strap. We'd screw it in, but then underneath we would put a copper strap, a 3/4 or a 1/2 inch copper strap, to make sure that thing, if anybody ever fucking muscled it and broke the airs off the drop-aired L, it was still going to stay in there, you know. But you can see all this stuff. 1/2 inch CPVC ball valves. We got away from doing that when they changed the code. We didn't need them. And I never really used CPVC ball valves. We only use them for testing shit out. But 3/4 brass ball valve, 2 of them. 1 for the service coming into the house and 1 at the water heater. PR09. That's a ice maker line, ice maker stop. And then over here we had how many shutoff valves? PR19s. We needed 12 of them for this job. And I was paying $475 a shutoff valve at this point, which was real high compared to what I used to pay. PR19. These are, PR is the, it's made for CPVC. But I go through and this was a prompt, man, to tell me everything that I needed. But I was looking at this, and you can see it's totaling everything up, man. So down at the bottom of this page, I had $2,475 worth of material, and that included the trim out material, the water heater, pipe dope, putty, couplings, closet shims, a relief valve. This didn't get a relief valve because it didn't have a backflow. But man, this is a very, very hose vacuum breakers, closet bolts, wax seals, DAP, Studevents, heater pan with metal, with an adapter, metal, test tee with plug. You know, it was pretty extensive. And yeah, it could have been, there are some things, it appears to me that I didn't put the fucking tub in because I had one tub waste with a T, and I can't see anywhere on this print, on this estimate, that I charged him for the tub. But they were only $100 fucking dollars, man, for a Sterling. We were putting Sterling tubs in. But, you know, that's how you fuck up, man. That's how it was not on this list, and I don't think I don't have the plan to see, but I can see that I only had one shower strainer, which meant one shower, and then I look here, and I can see that I have a complete Moen Eva tub valve and a complete Eva shower. I don't know what this 2 is because it was only a 2-bath house, so I can't imagine there were 2 valves in that one shower, but maybe, I don't know. But I have my seats, shark bites, big drop-in tub, Musty 10, Musty 19. This obviously, Musty 10 is a drop-in tub, and how much I used to pay for that. Laundry tub faucet, and Musty 19 wall hung. So the total came up to $2,475 for all of those materials. And then up here on this is the final sheet of the estimate. You'd add tax to that number, and then you'd come up with this total, and it would come over into this column. So I had $2,648, basically $2,649 in material with tax, and that would go into this column. Then the next section was my labor. Hang on, I'm ready to sneeze. So I had in this bid, this was broken down into man hours. I could do, like I said, we'd do this house 2 guys in less than 6 hours, but I was charging for the underground 20 hours, 20 man hours. Second rough, there was none. There was no second floor. And then tub set, that tub set would be done in 1 day, 16 man hours. And then the trim out would be done in 16 man hours. And you guys are probably saying, oh, you were doing it way too cheap. Listen, guys, I was making almost $20,000 a fucking month. You can't tell me this shit didn't work. I know, you know, I was making a fucking killing, and I had the money to show for it. So my average hourly wage was $22. I had a total of 52 man hours. That's how long it would take us to plumb a 2-bath house. 50 hours, man. One guy in a week could do it, basically. So the subtotal came up to $1,144, and then my labor burden was $286 because I was with a leasing company, and I was paying about 22% for their service, and that included everything, man. So I was using the number 25%, which was about 3% higher than it actually cost me. But then my total labor cost was $1,430 to pay guys to do this job. And this number would come over here. So now we have our material here. We have our labor here. And my direct cost to do this, and I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, you didn't include trucks and, you know, I'm just telling you guys that I did it a few times, and you can split hairs and you can make it very exhaustive. But the proof is in the pudding. Are you making fucking money? And I was. So this was my materials with tax. This is my labor with labor burden on that house. Came up to $4,078.85. I added 25%, which was actually, I got it written down here as overhead, but this was overhead and profit, man. And then, so that was another $1,000, $1,020 basically. And then over here, this next section were things that were just included at a flat rate, like sewer. We were doing sewer. You can see here we were doing it by the foot, $8.50 a foot back then. Water service, we were getting $4.50 a foot to do water services. This house in particular. Now this was what I included in the bid, and I would write that down in my proposal, that anything over 40 feet, they'd have to pay me at that rate. So, you know, you'd get out there, some houses had 100 feet of water service. And that number would obviously change from $180 to $450. So this house we were doing backflows for $250 back then. And that was good money, man. You made a ton of I'd buy 20 of them at a time. We'd prefab them up in my shop. And every time you did a trim out, you grabbed the fucking backflow, and it was ready to go, man. I mean, it was fucking, you just dropped it in the hole and you were done. You didn't have to get the torch out, none of that bullshit. So I charged them, this house was on a septic tank because there was no sewer cost. Had city water on a septic tank. I charged $200 to run 5 feet of pipe and pop a hole in a rubber gasket on a septic tank and push it in with a clean out. So the additional money was $380, and it came up to $5,478 for a 2-bath house that literally would take me 3 days to do. I sold the job for $54.75, and I know guys are going to say you were doing shit way too cheap, but this is what the market was bearing back then. You simply wouldn't get any jobs if you were way outside the fucking ballpark with your pricing. And service guys are like, they think, well, I get $130 an hour. You think you're going to charge $130 fucking dollars for a job that took 50, how many man hours? 52. And you're going to charge $5,000 for labor on a fucking 2-bath house for a national builder? You'll never get a job, man. You'll never get a fucking job. So this was at the bottom. It totaled it up, and I was confident in this. Obviously, I don't know how many tubs I missed. Probably not many. That down at the bottom of this sheet was where I changed things up. I changed things up, and you can see that I had extra spaces here for additional things that were added. But I missed the tub, it appears, on this. You know, that's $100 I lost, and if, you know, that shit adds up quick. But so this is what I did this house for, and I can see. Where's my fucking folder? I want to show you that, you know, I would submit to these guys. This guy wasn't a national builder, but I would just write up I had these proposal sheets made up. Oh, this is in 2012. Wow. So this was my fixture schedule, my proposal. I just tell them what I was putting in the house. Master bath had a Sterling toilet, 2 Moe and Eva shower. Oh, okay, so it did get 2 valves in that shower. Second bath had a Sterling elongated toilet, and yeah, so I was correct, man. I did that right. Oh, he put a cast iron tub. Kohler Villager. Cast iron tub. If I forgot that. I think I remember this, that I got paid for that. I told him I fucking forgot this. Now it makes sense to me. Yeah. You can see this was so request for 25% draw on a 56.95 contract, and that was the difference. You can see where I sold this one for 54.75 was the original price, and then I realized I didn't charge him for that cast iron tub, and the price went up to 56.95 because I used to pay $200 for a cast iron tub. Yeah. So anyways, that's how I did it, guys. It was simple. I will tell you that I always use these books right here. This was from 2007, and then the world fucking, went crazy after George Bush. The fucking world was coming to an end. I'll be honest, I used to sit on checks at the end of the year. I'd get checks. This is the book that I used for my bookkeeping. And I had my daughter working for me. And she would just, she would sit here in the house with the baby. And he was 2 years old, 1 year old at this point. But you can see this was because I sat on some checks. I got a check on the 2nd of January for $29,355, and then I got one 3 days later for $18,840, which brought my profit to date up to $44,248. And we would just keep track of this, and these are great books, man, for people just starting out. If you're not a computer geek, but I don't know where I got the books for every year I have in business. But let's see, profit to date, 52,000 I was showing, and this was only in the second week of January of 07. This was my best year, 2007. I made a lot of money. I made a ton of fucking money. But you can see now this came, I had to pay some bills, and the profit to date came back down. But then I got paid, and the profit to date went back up again. And then, this is when all hell broke loose, man. In the economy, they were shutting down jobs, fucking, and I just quit. I quit working. Doing new houses for Lennar Homes. They had a big meeting. I went down there. Had to drive down to Fort Myers, and they had some hatchet man from fucking New Jersey sitting on the other side of the desk, and they'd come out, Mr. Phillips, come on in here, and I'd go in, and I went in, and the guy would push. He said, this column here is what you're doing these houses for now. And this column here is what you'll be doing them for going forward. And it was a substantial cut in pay. And I had a ton of money in the bank. I had fucking 3 boats in my yard. And I looked at that and I pushed it back. I said, have a nice day, my friend. I'll finish up what I got for you. And I'm done. I went on vacation. I fucking shut it down in 2007, 2008. I was like, I'd rather stay home and not make any money than go out every day and work my balls off and not make any money. So that's what happened, man. I mean, if you're not blinded by politics and you're, you know, sticking up for your side, in 2007, 2008, it was fucking terrible, man. George Bush ran the fucking economy into the fucking ground. And that's the playbook. The banks win, the American people lose. Donald Trump is doing the same fucking thing right now. He's killing us. He's killing the economy. And anybody who says that their 401k has not been affected by this is just flat out lying, or they're in total fucking denial. Eventually, you know, I don't need people on the other side to say, you know, you're right, John. I don't need that. I know what the fuck is going on. I don't need their approval. Donald Trump is destroying this country. And luckily, I had paid cash for everything I had. All my fucking equipment was paid for. If I bought a new truck, I'd put down $5,000, $10,000, and then by the end of the year, I'd pay that thing off. So I had a fucking file. I had a folder with like 13 titles in it for every fucking car and automobile that I owned. And that's my advice to guys, man. Don't get out over your skis. You never know. My nephew did it. He bought all kinds of new shit. He wasn't paying for things as he went. And unfortunately, the first time he went into business, the economy crashed, man, and he couldn't get through it. I never went bankrupt. I didn't lose anything. I know many, many people, you know, they fucking went bankrupt because of that time. They lost their shop. They lost everything, man. And I just said, you know what, guys? I'm just going to fucking hunker down. I'm going to pull the plug on my business. I got out of the lease from my shop, which was costing me a lot of money. I didn't renew my lease. I moved all my shit to my house. And I just shut it down, man. I went fishing every fucking day. And we're getting to that point now where things are really getting bad in this country. And that's the unexpected shit that can really bury you, man. You know? Don't get fucking... If you can't pay for it, I'm just telling you, for me, that was how I did it. And it was because I watched the first guy I worked for when I came to Florida. He bought everything cash, man. He didn't fucking, you know, he wasn't spending the money. He wasn't spending money today that he hoped to make 10 fucking years from now. You know what I'm saying? You just don't know, man. And he weathered the storm. He could get through these tough times. And it's coming. It's coming. With Donald Trump, he knows they're going to lose this next fucking election. They're going to lose power. So he's out there destroying everything he fucking can. And the rich will get richer. The rich will get richer. They're going to buy all these stocks for fucking pennies on the fucking dollar. The Warren Buffetts and the fucking Elon Musks of the fucking world. And you're going to be stuck with a fucking statement for your 401k that's missing 50% of what it was a year ago. Talk about Joe Biden, but he didn't fuck everything up. I can tell you that. You guys seem to give old Donnie Boy a little pass. Like, it's okay, yeah. If this shit was going on when Biden was in office, you fucking guys would be fucking screaming. So, we'll see what happens. But anyways, if anybody wants this, you know, these numbers on this sheet here, these numbers, the way a spreadsheet's set up is I could go in and really what you want to do is job cost. You know, I could add another column to this that does the same thing and then job cost it out. Not every job because it's time consuming, but go through and say, oh, I had 5 pieces of rebar, but we used 7. You know, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but that shit adds up quick. So you can play with these things. You can add a little bit more. You can round some things off. Like I'm sure I wasn't using 80 feet of armor flex and 60 feet of armor flex on a job, you know, but this is a great basic, and it's everything that I used. It's not a whole fucking 5,000, you know, I think, how many? It was 179 line items. And you can see that I, you know, at the bottom, I put the name, the custom home, and that's it, man. Anyways, I hope this helps some of the young guys. If you're a young guy who doesn't have any experience whatsoever doing estimating, do what I did, man. Go to some of these model homes. Grab yourself some of them floor plans. Get used to drawing them drawing the systems in, and then do a takeoff. You know, figure out. You know what the fuck you're putting in if you're working for somebody else. The pricing, I will tell you that pricing is it's not everybody's not paying the same price, man. You got to fight these fucking suppliers tooth and nail because they're looking to rake your ass over the fucking coals. And it's turned, you know, a lot of these supply houses now are selling directly to the builder. They've cut you right out of the fucking picture. I'm glad I did new construction when I did, because I don't even know what it's like now. I'm sure guys are making money. They just figured out a different way to skin the cat. Yeah, a lot of these builders now are, I'm going to supply the fixtures. And you know what that means. That means they're going to get half of them one day and the other half another day. And then the rest of it some other fucking day. And you got 20 trips back to this fucking job. They fuck your whole schedule up. They're pushy. They're demanding. And they're unfair. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, they're fucking dictators. They're nasty people. Corporate, Lennar, U.S. Home, Pulte Homes, all of them motherfuckers flex their muscles on their subcontractors, and they will run you into the fucking ground. So you need to know what you can do. You need to stick to that, and don't fucking give in to the pressure that they put on you. Don't give them, once you start a job, you own it, man, and they own you. So it's up to you to say, hey, I can't start that job. You're not going to have that hanging over my head, and it's going to fuck up everything else I'm doing. It's a very tricky business, man, but I did it for a long time. I hustled. We were fucking banging. Like overhead, I used to pay my guys time and a half, you know, obviously everybody does on Saturday. But if you took a guy making, watch. So you got a guy who's making, say, we'll just use $10 an hour. He's making $400 a week, right? But now he works 8 hours times time and a half. That's 15 that's another $120 for Saturday, right? So you got $520 for this guy. When you divide that by 48. Alright guys, my camera fucking ran out of storage on the internal storage. But anyway, so we started out with a guy making $10 an hour. He's working 40 hours a week. He's making $400, right? Then you pay him for time and a half on Saturday. That brings it up to $520 for 6 days. But 520 divided by 48 is $10.83 per hour. So what's happening is you pay. I always looked at it like these. I got a guy who works every Saturday. He's making $10 an hour or whatever. It equals another $1 an hour basically. But when you if you figure out your overhead and you've got these truck payments and you've got fucking rent that you're paying, if you're only working 5 days a week, you're gonna have a set number of what that shit's costing you every day to have that truck or have that shop. But if you're working 6 days a week, and you divide in those days, your overhead by 6 days a week, everything comes down, man. You're using your equipment. You're making it make money for you. So my guys always, I didn't force them in, but I fucking gave them the option to come in on Saturday and work, and they loved it. They wanted to fucking make money. Usually we go out and do something and then go have lunch and bullshit. I paid my guys good. Somebody asked the question about bonuses, and I'll be honest with you, what I used to do around Christmas time, we always took the week off between Christmas and New Year's. We just shut it down, and that was for no pay, no penalty. But a week before Christmas, I would go to the bank, man, and get $20,000 cash out, and I'd pass that shit out to my guys. And they were very, very happy. I treated them good. We were hustling, man. Don't get it twisted. We were fucking working, and I had pretty high standards, and I called them out on shit. I was out there, making that fucking train get into the station on time. But we did good work. My guys I'd take them out on Saturday morning. If we were working Saturday, we'd go out to breakfast. I'd buy the whole fucking crew breakfast. Maybe we get done, I go out to lunch. I always picked up the tab for everything, man. And companies just don't do that shit, man. I had one guy, he ended up being one of my best friends. Came to work for me. He was only working for like a month, and I gave him like a $500 fucking Christmas bonus. Just for being part of the team, man. They're the guys who are making you the money. Treat them fucking right, man. Treat them right. And I encourage guys from the day they started for me to, learn the fucking trade, and hopefully someday you'll be able to own your own business. I wasn't about holding people down. So anyways, that's how I did it. Hopefully it'll help you. This is I can email this estimating program. I can strip the numbers out or send it to you the way it's in my computer now. I could send that, and then you could just use that as a template. You can make changes to it as long as you understand how it works. And I will tell you, this is the book right here. This is the fucking book that I used to create that program, man. Microsoft Works. And right here, how to add, subtract. Well, this is how you make a spreadsheet. And I used that. I went through and I did my fucking thing. And this shit was all new to me. I didn't know anything about computers. I was a fucking plumber, Creating formulas. This is the chapter. Chapter 9, Creating Formulas. And that's how I created that spreadsheet. And it literally was very, very quick, man. But you gotta check yourself, man. You gotta check yourself. And I did fucking catch that I didn't charge him for that tub on that job, because you can see what the final price was. It was $200 more. And I will tell you that these guys were friends of mine. The Nicholas, I actually was renting a shop from them. That's where the whole time I was in business, he was my landlord. And they treated me pretty good. We were friends. And I gave them deals on houses that I wouldn't give normally to other people. Just because, we were friends, and they did me favors. They put lanais on my house and screens. I bought my mother a new lanai on the back of her house. She had a door going outside off of the living room, and there was nothing out there. So I hired them. They put a, I think, I don't know, 15 by 15 outside lanai screened area with a hard roof on the top. And, you know, my mom could sit outside at her house. But then she sold that house and moved here when we built the guest house. But plumbing is very, very lucrative. But you got to understand, these builders, they would love nothing more than for you to work your fucking ass off every day and not make a fucking dime. So be careful out there. You have competing interests with the builders, the fucking suppliers, and it's just frustrating, you know, that a little guy will get raped by these guys, man. They'll fucking charge you. They'll get as much out of you as they can, man. And you got to keep your eyes and ears open. Listen, pick up any little bit of information, what somebody else is getting. And if you have to, pay somebody. Give them a fucking $500 to tell you. Give me some fucking information, man. It's called corporate espionage, man. It works. You got to know what's happening, what's going on, because these motherfuckers on above sliding over a piece of paper with some numbers on it that are just fucking lies, you know, bullshit. Don't trust them. Anyways, I hope this helps some of the young guys out there. Probably get a lot of fucking bullshit, but I can tell you guys, I made a lot of money when I was paid cash. I was buying boats cash, buying fucking houses. I bought 4 condominiums cash, townhomes, brand fucking new. I closed on them in one fucking day, 4 houses. I was making money. Some of you guys are gonna pick my shit apart and tell me, I can't fucking believe it. Fuck you. I had a fucking small plumbing company, and I was up in the top 1% of fucking earners, or at least the I don't know what the number was, but I was making a lot of money for a guy with a fucking 8th grade education. And so my advice is, if you're a high school dropout, you heard my friend yesterday on the phone call. He got kicked out of high school, man. And the fucking guy's got businesses worth fucking up in the millions. I don't know how much he sold that. He sold his jetter truck, not jetter trucks, pumper trucks. He sold that business with 4 trucks. But I'm sure he got way up in the fucking millions for that business, man. And you can do it. You can do it. If you're a high school dropout, if you had drug issues, you need to get that shit under control, and your life can really take off, man. As long as you want to work, man. You reap what you sow. For me, I always loved working. Even when I was in the throes of an addiction, I always worked, man. I never fucking was just a bum, you know. But you can do it. Get your shit together. Read some books. Don't burn them. Don't burn them. Read them, motherfuckers. I've got all kinds of books here, man. Look at this shit. Motivating people. Everything's organized. A startup. How to incorporate. When I first went into business, I was a sole proprietor. And I think after about a year, I incorporated, I think, in 1998. And that's when I was paying myself only $15,000 minimum wage. Whatever the minimum wage was, that's what I was paying myself, so I could save on Social Security. But then they changed that, and it went up and up and up. I was paying, I think I was paying like I had to pay Social Security on $130,000 of income, and then the rest I didn't have to pay. But don't do that. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen to Social Security with these fucking vultures flying around the motherfucker. These guys want to privatize everything, man. And you know what that means? They'll run it into the ground. Donald Trump, there's a lot of money in buying a business and running it into the fucking ground, paying all your fucking help, astronomical wages. That's what Trump's doing. The whole fucking go bankrupt fucking, that's what he's doing to America. Wake the fuck up, guys. Jesus Christ. Admit, you got fucking taken. You got fooled, man. I'm going to end on that one, but have a good day. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section, and I'll see if we can't get it squared away. And I'd love to share this with you. The young guys, you know. All right, buddy. Have a great day.